Um, and yes, you can make all the co-hosts you want to if Kate turns up, or you need
Yeah.
assistance from
Oh, we
someone
were
else.
discussing just a little while before that she will do this and I'll do the live stream on YouTube.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, because I see you guys are all caught up over there too,
Mm.
and we should be streaming now. Yes, because now I'm getting the confusing echo, so everything is all right. I'm so happy. So many of you could join us today, and I'm just looking forward to what Umblam and the Arcturians have to say. And it seems it's the usual
Hi
suspects.
again.
But for those of you catching up, or catching in, then
That's
is
Katie
that
talking.
is that you? Okay, that's Kate. And is it me that's ringing,
Yes.
or is it someone?
Uh,
Okay, that is quite weird. Is she, can you tell me where she's beeping me?
she can't seem to get in, unfortunately.
Okay, that's very weird, because she's not showing up in the Zoom stream. So let us hope she will get in somehow.
She needs to
This
update
is
the Zoom app.
yeah, what is that, Alex?
She needs to update the Zoom app because
Okay.
they make updates. The hackers are very hot on this
Update
application,
your Zoom.
and you need
That makes
to update daily or um, every day.
Yeah, okay, excellent. So that makes sense. And I guess you guys can just let her in, and I've tried to turn off every electronic device in this room, so no beeps from this part, hopefully. And let me know if there are any disturbances. But yes,
Have you
yes,
have,
sorry, Salis.
have you given me the co-host?
Yes, you should actually be host, and then you can, click on people and make them co-hosts. So I'm essentially in your hands, just a civilian, and I should be broadcasting on YouTube too now.
Oh, okay, yes, I've got it. Yep.
Okay, perfect, guys. So I'm looking forward to what they have to tell us, and I hope you will enjoy. I'll see you on the other side. Have a good one. Peace, love, and harmony to you, sweet human beings. My joy, my sincerest pleasure, my excitement it is to be here with you today. I come as a representative of the Arcturian Council, or collective, that group consciousness which we together make up as a species. Though I come also to you as an individual, Umblam of the Arcturians, coming to you from a place of great love and understanding. And the transmission today I have entitled Vibes of the Spiral. See, you may recognize these numbers: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. These are known as the Fibonacci sequence. It goes on forever. These also, or the proportion among them, describe what you know as the golden section. It describes a type of progression in which one unit is made up of the sum of its two preceding totals. And though this is actually how you perceive your world, always seeing it from the vantage point of one, but always being the result of two separate forces coming together and uniting in your person. See, you are never standing still, you are growing. And within you, this growth follows a pattern that is completely akin totally like that universal pattern that the universe is growing from. It is the pattern of the spiral. There is an intersection between your perception of your physical body, of your mental spaces, and of your spiritual vibration that together make up this perfect harmony within the spiral, this place you can go to transform. See, what is happening now is that the disclosure is already here. The information is coming through to you from many, many places, and you are allowing yourself to open up. But notice that this vibration will be a strange one. It will be an alien one. It will bring things into your present experience that you can't make sense of. You are uncovering all of this at once, and yet it is a puzzle for you that you need to string together. This coming decade, it will change severely your perspectives on yourselves and your institutions and your species and where you are headed. As such, you are becoming a tighter, more closely knit collective. There are many things for you to do and explore as a species once you begin to grow things together. Notice you all create the processes by collaborating, by contributing, by giving your attention to them. These processes you select that will be carried out. Those things from the past, they have lost their momentum. Those things from the future, they are yet to be. Here you are in the middle of the spiral, spiraling out, growing infinitely, discovering what it is to be you anew. With that introduction, I, Umblam of the Arcturian Council, I'm so happy to be here with you this day, and I look forward to answering your questions. And I hope someone will come forward with a question for me so that I may answer it and bless them with the meeting of our vibrations.
Yes, okay. Mindy, if you'd like to go first, please.
Yes, thank you.
Hi there. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Hello, thank you so much too. And even though I know your name, could I get you to speak it, loved one?
Sure, Mindy.
Yes, Mindy, it is a pleasure to meet you this day. Thank you.
Thank you. So my question is kind of general. Been going through a lot of changes and changing some things in my life, and just wondered if you had any general information about that, or just more of a general read.
Yes. Well, we sense that your energetic body around now is holding up some frustration around the theme of change. That is to say that there is a type of dissonance between, well, the actual vibrational change that is taking place. That is to say, we sense that you have had dreams that you have a hard time incorporating. We do not mean those types of dreams or ambitions or pursuits, worldly pursuits. We mean the type of dreams you experience at nighttime that leave you scratching your head. And it is because your reality is changing into something unknown, that which we just spoke to. There is a place within your likely physical life. Within 3 years, your physical place will begin to change, or your environment will have changed. And therefore, right now, what you are experiencing is a type of time lag. That is to say that your vibration and your spiritual life and what is manifesting in your nighttime dreams is already pulling you to that space where you are wanting to go. But there is in your conscious, or, well, yes, conscious or awoke space, those daytime hours you spent awake, those in that time you feel a certain resistance. You feel something well, is not completely aligning. And it would be easier for me to guide you more specifically if you would, yes, give a more specific outline. Is there something that you sense is worrying you in particular at this point?
I think what's kind of freaking me out is a lot of the changes and kind of into this world of spirituality and opening up to all of this newness and discovering this other side of myself. And I think that it feels a lot like, is it real? Is it not real? What's happening? What's my next step in the spirituality realm as I discover all of these new things?
Yes, it's a beautiful, and as you also mentioned from the get-go, a quite general concern, because it's that idea of now what comes next, because, well, you have gotten to a place where you actually found some excitement about being perturbed, but usually there is a point in the roller coaster ride where you regret having gotten on the roller coaster, and you could say that that's a part of the thrill, that there is a point where you think, I should have never done this. And so our encouragement is the same, that it is that there's no responsibility in it as such. That is to say that you can't go wrong. So try to think of it as something that is joyful, instead of something that keeps bringing painful revelations. And we do know that's a part of the process, that you sense that your life is, yes, it's becoming unsettled in a lot of ways, but try to think of it as something that's also, well, can be at least a lot of fun, because you get to see yourself from completely new perspectives. And so I return also to that encouragement which we often give to people in this process, and that is to remember your toes, and to remember your feet, and to remember that sense of being light-footed and dancing around with the energies, because it is actually a type of dance that you are choosing to undergo. And even, well, when you misstep, or you perform some steps that may seem like they actually bringing you out of balance, they're serving the purpose of the dance, of the greater discovery of where your balance actually lies. So be comforted at this time that you are progressing very nicely, and we sense a beautiful radiance building around your present energy and growing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Blessed are you. Thank you for sharing, dear one. Yes, and may we ask if someone else would like to pose us a question this day.
Hello, this is Laura.
Hello,
My love
Laura.
and gratitude to you.
Our love and gratitude to you too. And we have met before, but we are so happy to meet you again this day. Yes. Ah, yes. And we just had to check that we were being heard. Do you have a question for us this day, sweet Laura? Oh, yes.
She's muted. I'll ask her to unmute.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Oh, there is nothing to apologize for, Laura. We are all progressing nicely in this realm of time. But yes, please pose your question to us.
I am wondering if you would look at my chakras from my solar plexus down to the Earth star.
Yes.
And I just completed some Reiki work, attunements that I think set up some new structure in my solar plexus. So I'm curious what that looks like. And then also in my lower chakras, in my root and Earth star, if there's anything you notice that you feel like I would benefit from clearing that information, I would be so grateful for.
Yes, this is a beautiful question, and we sense that there is already quite a lot of clearance flowing through, but there is a type of exercise, and we know this is it's actually well, there are actually two exercises we sense that will both be beneficial, but you are already opening, and do not feel that it is something you should force yourself to do, but it is the attempt, and it's much easier said than done. But the attempt to keep your lower spine aligned while you rotate your upper chest, so you actually will sort of counter rotate your navel, or you try to keep it facing forward, and then you turn your chest to one side and then to the other side, and that is simply it helps to open the access down to the solar plexus and the lower chakras. We sense that the solar plexus is in that sense growing and becoming open and allowing for you to integrate more of your will or your intention into this life, and that is very good. We sense then that the second chakra, this orange energy of commerce and of exchange, of nourishment, of digestion, we sense that this is also growing, and we would recommend you, for instance, to allow yourself to ingest well, citric juices. So not, you don't necessarily have to take shots of lemon or lime, but something that's somewhat sour and yellow and stems from a citrus fruit or a combination of them, we sense would be good for furthering this process, because this is also already on the way. So there is a healing accumulation growing, and your Earth Star energy. Oh, yes, we would like to give you the permission slip of tapping your knees, and then try to, when you tap your knees, you can actually feel how this is just a simple tap, and you can do it with all your fingers. Then actually feel how this brings a slight vibration in through your skeletal bones, and then you can turn your attention to that point where the heel becomes the feet, so to say, so where they extend into the bones that then become the toes and the toe bones, so right around the front side of the heel. And here you will find that there is a type of radiation point that's connecting you to the earth, because you are becoming quite open here, but you are coming from a point where you are longing to become more integrated into your earth purpose and earth experience. And therefore we would like to, yes, we sense that you are already allowing us to call forth some of those people or entities that live at the core of the earth. And there is a guide here called Mons, Mons, and it's, interestingly, we believe it's both like a typical cat name in Scandinavian children's literature, but it also means mountain in Latin. So this entity, he's very sweet. You could think of him. Well, he kind of looks a little like, and we don't mean to sound too silly here, but he kind of looks a little like, if anybody remembers that alien elf from that sitcom from the 80s, but then he's a little tighter and more condensed, and he also has a more, well, serious protector energy on him. But you could think of him kind of like a very stony creature, and you can connect to him from this point, because you are very open there. But he's offering you a relaxation by actually letting you know that you are protected in your connection to the earth, and that bond won't be severed so easily anymore.
My gratitude. Thank you.
Our blessings. Thank you so much for this interaction. And yes, then we would ask, does someone else have a question for me and the rest of those Arcturians?
Yes, okay, it's Salish again here.
Yes.
I have a few questions from YouTube. The first one is from Kevin Wickart,
Yes.
and he says, I was guided to utilize LSA with the seeds of the morning glory and Hawaiian baby wood rose flowers as plant teachers.
Yes.
The research I have done mentions many unpleasant side effects of ingesting the seeds. Is there a way to commune with the seeds without the negative side effects?
Yes. We sense you need to put them in water for a while, and then you need to bless that water. Well, partially, you need to also give it a few squeezes of the citric juice, and we sense in this notice that the citrus plants are also great teachers because they they always allow you to enter that purifying vibration in your own body. So the vitamin C in that sense is good for you. But back to topic. So a few drops in this, then you will crush the seeds and let them rest in water. Then you will filter this water 3 times. So one time on the first day you will filter it, and you will keep that water in a separate container and store it in your fridge with a type of lid above. Then you will, on the second day, repeat the process and filter it. And it can be just through a simple cloth. And then through the third day, you will do the same, having added citrus all these days to this water. And then we sense that each time you do this, then you say before you give it the blessing, may what is harmful to me be removed from this, and may what seeks to aid me be kept and protected by you, sweet Mother Spirit. And then, once you have filtered it, you give this incantation over it as you place it in the fridge. Yai-yo, yai-yo, yum, yai-yo, yai-yo, yum, yum. And on the third day, you will have gathered these 3 filtrations, and you will put them in one container, and there you will again sing this incantation, but you will use the vibration instead that we give you now, which is ooh, ooh, ooh. Sweet Mother, heal me as I drink this. You will speak these words, and then you will drink it. We sense this will alleviate most of those symptoms that you fear, and they will not be terrible for you or prevent you from the experience that is seeking you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question from
Yes.
Nai. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Greetings, Umblam. Could you please suggest something on my current relationship situation? It is really bad, but my guides tell me something else. An independent opinion is very indeed welcome. Thank you.
Yes. And we thank you too for this question. And we know this is quite confusing. It is interesting to us to experience human beings from this perspective, because know, of course, that you are completely sovereign in your own experience, and therefore you should go with that thing you call your intuition, or your or your gut feeling, or whatever you want to choose it at you as, addressing it as, that is to say, your highest truth. Because we sense that this relationship, well, you address it first as something that is very bad, and notice that, well, situations that are very bad, they are usually meant to teach you the lesson that, well, something is out of order. And then by discovering that something is out of order, you find ways to set it right. But we do sense that, well, the conflict that you describe in many ways stems from, well, that quite common energetic intertwinement that happens in these types of dyadic human relationships, where instead of, well, you become so attached to another person that the both of you begin to fix or try to alleviate the imbalances and pains you experience in your life by adjusting the other person instead of adjusting your own experience. And that is why we sense, and we know this is almost a cliche, but that a break is very good for you, because your guides are looking from a perspective where they are speaking to your highest good. They're looking to you from eternity, and so am I. And that is why I also see that for this energetic connection between the two of you and your relationship, which is quite powerful and has powerful karmic roots, for it to actually clear up in a way that will help the both of you, it will be very, very good to take a step back. So ask yourself, is it possible for us to not communicate for a week, but to have the understanding that we're not communicating for a week, that it is not something that one undertakes to punish the other or ignore them, but there is simply the opportunity to step back and feel yourself, and then start to relate to each other from that point on. So we sense that is the best advice we can give you, and this at this point. And we bless you in your endeavor to meet yourself and repair your relationship to each other, to make it for the highest good.
Thank you. A question from Ketul Shah.
Yes.
He says, oh, I know this one. A Syrian entity
Yes.
channeled information to him stating that the sun rotates around the earth. Can you explain the movement of the planets and the sun?
Yes. Well, we know this has been done many times before, and we know also that it has caused quite a lot of caused quite a lot of discussion. See, it is interesting. One of the most famous scientists from the country we are coming through now, the challenge country, that country called Denmark, is a person called Tycho Brahe, who invented a type of system called the Tychonic system shortly before the Copernican system, which said that, well, the sun revolved around the earth, but the other planets revolved around the sun. So this was a type of compromise that was meant to actually accommodate the observations he was making, that showed clearly that it couldn't be necessarily the case that the earth was the center of the heavens. But then again, it was actually a correct system with the observations he had. So, but it was more complex than the one that was then laid out in the Copernican system. That is to say, the one where we realized that the earth is revolving around the sun. Well, what you are in many ways discovering is that reality and perception is manifold. So the idea was, of course, in Newtonian physics, that he was uncovering the natural laws of space. And the natural laws of space said that heavenly bodies were governed by this thing called gravity, which made them rotate around each other. And the sun being a larger mass than the earth, of course, it would make the earth gravitate around the sun. Though then you realize that actually, or another way, or a more helpful way of describing it, which occurred with your theory of relativity, is that all these things are sort of falling through time space, creating energetic curvatures that bend in their perception of each other, that bends in our perception of each other's, how they, how this light actually travels. And this is, so you see a radical implementation of this is that idea of the flat earth, for instance. That is to say that the idea that you can actually observe from a human perspective that the earth is flat, but of course it isn't in Newtonian space. So if you want the rest of your descriptions of reality to make sense, you have to keep describing the earth as rotating around the sun, though you could actually make other models that then accommodate for the data you have. But so what was reached as a principle, as a good principle that is still used in science, is that principle called Occam's razor. And you can use that still. It simply goes that the easiest or the explanation that requires the fewest prerequisites or assumptions is the best explanation. And so you would ask yourself, what am I gaining from adopting this image from this Syrian entity? And what is this Syrian entity trying to show me by presenting this counter image of the world moving in a different model of the universe? Because it is quite interesting. And what we sense is that in many ways he's communicating a perception that is akin to that which that scientist, the visionary, and also very Syrian starseed known as Nikola Tesla brought to you. And that is the idea that the earth is actually a type of a realm, or a type of closed off realm of energy that is its own center, and that works by actually creating itself. It doesn't sustain itself. It's not necessarily a dead rock that's inhabited with life that randomly occurred and then is grown from the sun, but it is rather creating life from its own energy field, and then this life is being illuminated with the energy from the sun. And so this is some of those discoveries that this Syrian entity is pointing to, and we sense that his agenda is a benevolent one. So keep at it, please.
Thank you very much. One
Welcome. Thank you.
more before we come into the Zoom room.
Yes.
It's from, please forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Lucas Oliha.
Yes.
Question. Some say on December the 21st, Gaia will give birth to new consciousness, and this should be the new Earth, as described by Dolores Cannon. Is it true or false? And thank you for your answer.
Yes. Yes, and thank you for your question. This is quite a big one, we sense. Well, first off, understand that what is in many ways what we are teaching you, and what this timeline shift will teach you, is that the binary mode of true or false is not a helpful way of perceiving reality. And in many ways you are moving away from binary logics into something that you could think of more as tertiary logics or relative logics, or things where you are able to keep multiple positions at once and then adjust yourself into that framework which you want to create. But we don't want to avoid your question, because it is certainly primarily true. The problem simply being that you got so disappointed the last time with all the information we had been giving you and all the predictions about 2012. And it's only after these 8 years that a lot of you are beginning to come around and begin to see that, okay, there was actually a radical shift. Because notice again that the natural laws as you perceive them, that idea that the earth is rotating around the sun in an unchangeable pattern that is governed by an unchangeable law, is actually not the case. The case is that well, the realm of perceived reality or physical space is altering its vibration, and the planet that is lending itself to this experience is shifting itself into more and more higher frequency versions of itself that you then accompany or you choose to be on with. Well, you know that idea that you, yes, following the excitement principle and choosing the world you want to participate in and you want to be on and that you want to create and make possible. And so yes, this earth is being born, but of course from our perspective and from Mother Gaia's perspective, it's already there. So what becomes possible is for you to choose to shift into that reality, and a lot of you are choosing to it. And that birth of the new earth, it had to come about by so many of you choosing this reality that it would begin to take place. But don't expect the sky to crack open, or and for the angels and all of your star family to descend at once, or for massive volcano eruptions and huge tidal waves and yes, fault lines that crack open and eternal punishment. It won't be like that. It will be quite more subtle, but it will be another of these very dramatic energetic shifts, and there's no going back from that date. There's of course already no going back, but there you will sense quite a powerful, if you have been working and doing the work as all of you have hearing this message, you will begin to sense a very powerful altercation of your energies in your energetic bodies at this time. Thank you. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
hi, I'm Alex.
Hello, Alex. It is
Hello,
good. It is good to be
Umblam.
with you again.
Well, I hear about something today.
Yes.
Can you talk about Hyundai Council and their practices and what race are, or is a mix of races?
Yes, we would just like to, because we sense it's a council that you speak of, but would you give us the first name again?
Hyundai.
Yes. Well, we are not too acquainted with this energy before you present it to us, but we do sense that it is a collective of quite wise intelligences. Most of them are, well, ascended draconic is our belief, but it is a type of fellowship energy. So it's a project that's coming together in, well, it has been gathering in a temporal perspective from the past 3 years, we sense, and then it's coming together, and it has the purpose of, well, instigating diplomatic changes between this solar system and some of the energies in it, and then, well, yes, something that's more related to, what is this star? We're not necessarily, it is the star Antares we sense that they are connected to. And it's because this council you speak of, and we are getting the vibration, because we didn't quite hear it, but we're getting the vibration of Yonde, and we sense it's a type of collective. It's trying to, how to see, how to connect so many, well, connect as many disparate consciousness parts from different types of races into a common understanding. And that's why they're bringing in energies from Antares, for instance, because they're quite foreign to the founding energies of this council.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our blessings to you. Yes. Is there another question someone has for us?
Yes, I believe it's Galaxy J2. Can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Ken, and thank you for taking my question.
Yes. Hello, Ken. Blessings to you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. My question is, I'm an avid outdoorsman, and I'm in the
Yes.
mountains in New Mexico a lot. And I've noticed in the night sky what appeared to me to be drones, anywhere from 4 to 50 in the sky, flying circles, different patterns. Can you tell me who these people are? Are they from our dimension, or are they of another dimension? And what I do? Are we to make contact or not make contact?
Yes, that's a sweet, sweet question. We thank you so much for it, Ken, and we also thank you for seeking out these energies, because notice that you wouldn't know that you wouldn't be able to actually perceive them unless there was an opening in your attitude, in your heart space, in your vibration to these realities, because you are already making contact in that sense that when you register them with your consciousness. So these aren't necessarily just blind mechanics that are floating around, but they are manifestations of, yes, higher vibrational creatures or extraterrestrials or astral beings that then shift into the physical space and use these apparati to form and shape, well, the energetic configurations of your planet to make it easier and easier to bring you into these states that we also inhabit. And we do this by, yes, UFOs or these crafts that you have seen. And notice some of them were, in many ways, you could think of it as not necessarily UFO clusters, but a UFO that breaks apart and then uses many of these parts. So when you have seen these multiple occurrences, it's often because it's something that's actually trying to create an energy portal, and that around that area of New Mexico has been an area that traditionally has always been very rife with visitors. And this doesn't necessarily just stem back to the Roswell incident, but it has been so for millennia and millennia and millennia. This is one of the places where especially those aliens, as the gray aliens, they really like to go. And now it's being interacted with a lot of those creatures from the hybrid program. So especially the Yael ships are those you have seen, but there has also been a lot of Lyran activity, for instance, we sense. And you are supposed to connect as much as you want to. And we, of course, hope that you will connect well and try to seek out these phenomenon, because that will also make them grow and that will make it easier for us to communicate with you. But it is up to you. Nothing is forced upon you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
That is also very appreciated for us to be allowed to answer. Our blessings to you in your wildlife endeavors.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. It's Salish again.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. It's just, I suppose, additional information regarding the question regarding the 21st of December. From what I have heard, it's a kind of a point of no return, and I believe the Kali Yuga comes to an end on the 21st of December, and the Sat Yuga starts the day after that, if you are familiar with the Indian philosophy.
Yes.
And wherever you are vibrationally at that point, come 22nd of December, you shall remain on that vibrational till the end of your days, I presume.
Yes.
What is your perspective?
It's a very good perspective, because notice again, and as we pointed out, it is again this idea of the chickens coming home to roost. And you could also if you really wanted to get dramatic about it, you could of course use all that image of, yes, of the final judgment, and those ideas of the separation and the segregation of the dark from the light. And of course you could think of it more because of vibration in and of itself implies continued movement. But what you can think of is that, well, your vibrational spectrum will in a sense become, well, if you're on the negative timeline, it will become locked in the sense, how far are you able to accelerate, or how far are you able to ascend. And if you are on a positive space, and we want to comfort all of you listening to this, that you are in this space, then it will become locked, that you will no longer have access to the same, quite the same amount of negative experiences. So your vibrational spectrum will begin to orient itself, orientate itself upwards, instead of actually having that ability to fluctuate also very negatively. So that is in many ways how you could perceive of that shift. And it is something that will, for those of you gathered here, and for me and my Arcturian buddies personally, it will be very, very positive, because it will become so much easier to do these things that you once thought of as magic or miracles.
I look forward to that.
Yes. We do too. We do too. We look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. I am happy to be here. It's Kate.
Yes, Kate, it is good to see you again. Blessings to you.
Thank you for your blessings, and thank you, Mads, for your patience on learning the new Facebook.
Yes, he also wants to transmit to you that he's happy you made it on the call. So it is good to have you with us, Kate. All of us would like to communicate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a lot of questions, of course, and I go off of everyone else's questions. So I'm going to ask this question. It has to do with the foot chakras that you were speaking to our member about.
Yes.
And I am taking the 114 chakra courses and understanding them completely. I would like your perspective of the human 112 chakras in the body and 2 without, and all the other ones. I would like to hear your perspective on these chakras of the human body, please.
Yes, we are unaware of this exact system, but we do sense that it is a meaningful one for you to interact with. No, and we do not. So it is the chakra is related to a thing called a wheel or a whirlpool. It has that origin that it's a type of whirling energy vortex that's located in your body. And so we usually speak of the main 7 ones, because these are the 7 ones that also make up the energies of the physical universe as you perceive it. And they are built within you, but then you can of course start to also integrate, well, that is to say, lower, no, or not necessarily lower vibrational, but chakras of a lesser energetic presence, but that are also very prevalent. And for instance, in all of your joints, you will find chakras, and there is a type of release that you can perform in each of these joints. So it is a good way for you to realize that the chakra is actually a type of portal between that which you call the spiritual or the akashic and that which you perceive as the physical. Because in a way, that blueprint of what you are made of is being rotated into your being. And so that is also why it is important for you to have a healthy, well, fluidity and confluence in your bodies and your joints, because those rotational energy fields, those energies, when one of them is blocked, it becomes difficult for the entire system to actually integrate fully with that presence that sits without it. And we sense, therefore, that the 112 is a number that makes also quite a lot that has some resonance to you personally. And we would also like to point out again that this is, speaking of, the frequency of the spiral, this is again the 112, or the first numbers of the Fibonacci frequency. Does this make sense to you, dear one?
Yes, it does. And I was just hoping to spread awareness a little bit more regarding that. And for me personally, and for everyone, that the 112 chakras are a releasing point, and it is the chakras being closed that causes ailments within the human bodies. The vortexes, spirals being closed off is, yes.
Exactly.
So that tells me I'm totally on the right track with that, and I will proceed in that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please do. And you are completely right. We would just like to add to that is in a sense also what is happening, that you can say that your perfect 11th dimensional creation, or your perfect humanity, which exists both as a general blueprint, but also know that you individually, all of you, have a sort of specific personal blueprint, that which the Indians call your Atman, or your personal soul, and that is also trying to feed itself into existence. And what is happening with the new earth is that all of the sudden, well, your actual vibration of your spiritual body will become possible to be fed into your physical body all of the sudden to a much higher degree. And that is also why so many of you are being called to these chakra openings and heart sessions and these practices, but at the same time also why you are experiencing so much, well, boundaries or barriers or blocks that the energy is pushing up towards, because you are entering a far higher, more higher vibrational space as a species. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Nick has a question, please. Nick, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Thanks for the acceptance.
Yes, thank you so
And
much.
thank you for your teachings and advices.
Yes, and may we get you to pronounce your name, sweet one?
Yes, my name is Nikos.
Yes, Nikos, it's very good to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I would like if you could see my energy and give me some advice, general advice.
Yes. Yes, we sense that you're... No, yes, do you have more for that question?
I just I have a little worries in the lately.
Yes.
About the world and where are we going, and the vaccinations that we hear will be done to most of the world, and if there is a way out of there, and what will happen to people that will refuse to get vaccinated.
Yes.
For example.
You see, it will... Yes, we are very happy. Thank you for your question, because we will start with your personal energy healing. We sense that your heart space is growing, and there's a very powerful green energy wanting to force itself out, but it's also coming through your throat where there are some tensions that are wanting to release. So you may feel quite a lot of pent up anger in these days, and not so a sort of frustration that you actually feel like you want to explode and really let out your power, but at the same time there is this feeling that when you push up towards something, it just moves instead of crumbling. And that's a good sign that where you are now, it's also it's a good opportunity to lay back and to worry about not worrying, or that is to say, to try not to worry, and to know that things are on track. Know that we understand, and we are very happy that we are able to address this question with the vaccinations. We would say, apart from all the idea of control and authority and conspiracy and so on, of course, it is simply quite risky from a scientific point of view to inject something that hasn't been through extensive trials. And as few people would probably like to be the first person to test out a diving suit, or the first person to be shot into space, few people will probably also like to be the first guinea pig for a vaccine. And in that sense, we do sense your fear, but we would say that there is not an evil agenda being carried out here. For those people who try to explore these things, they are all being, well, guided by, of course, the motivation of success, but primarily by the avoidance of fear. And so what you will experience if you hold out is that a whole lot of people who are far more intuitively fearful, that is to say, in many ways, the same people who went out and still have toilet paper left from March when they stocked abundant amounts. Well, those people, they will be very quick to take the vaccine. And when that has happened, there will be a high degree of immunity, where it will actually, so we don't sense that it will necessarily become a forced implementation. And that we advise to any one of you who feel like you might be uneasy with this vaccination, that to wait and see what happens, because there will be plenty of people who are just very happy to align with what they're being told, or with the easy access or solutions that authority and government is providing to them, that they will do this first, and then you can sort of step back and just try to, we would say, in your personal experience, for most of you, the most clever thing would be to lay low and try not to stir the water too much about this, because understand that everyone is very much afraid about what is going on and don't necessarily do it. And for a lot of people, that solution is to seek out more control. And therefore, we implore all of you to try to understand that what has happened has actually been a type of, it has been, with spiritual assistance, a type of reset of all your systems. And that means that you will be able to reevaluate what you actually want to do, and you will be able to construct systems where you won't be put in that situation where you're dependent on a distant government structure that is unable to actually deal with the needs of individual people, and so just simply puts them in their home. So those are some of the perspectives we would like to offer you, and we are very happy to be able to answer this question for you. Fear not, loved ones. Humankind is on the right path, and you will not be brainwashed or enslaved again.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll go to the YouTube questions now, please.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, hello.
Hello, Silas.
This is from Kevin Wickart.
Yes.
He says, I'm excited to incorporate 4 large quartz crystals with my Kundalini yoga and Qigong practices.
Yes.
Could you give me a permission slip that would be fun to utilize?
Yes. You see, we think the image that came to us quite instantly was, we believe it might be, the movie might be Superman 2. At least he has that fortress of solitude where he goes on. It's the North Pole, we believe, but he's surrounded by a lot of crystals. And so try to actually treat these crystals as, so the room you create with them as your fortress of solitude. And also know that within these crystals, because you are using them as permission slips to create your sacred space, so a lot of your Akashic record will be available simply by you attuning to it. And you can try to, it's a good thing or exercise for you to actually try to attune intuitively to the vibration that you think resides in a specific place in the quartz crystal. So you can, for instance, place one of your fingers, and we sense that your ring finger would be good. Try to, well, yes, to slowly move it across the surface of the quartz, and then intuitively perform the tones that you are seeing, well, that you sense are being revealed to you. And it could be and there you will actually sense, when you do this, that different memories from your Akashic record will begin to turn up. So this is, and try to actually think of it as you building a type of multi-dimensional storage chamber or library that you censor in these crystals. And that's why also we're using that image from the Superman movies, and also to recognize that this is a place of power where you connect to your higher self. Thank you for that interesting question.
Okay, the next question is from Andrew Carter. He says, greetings.
Yes, greetings. Greetings, Andrew.
Okay, my question is with regards to energy healing modalities. Will their effectiveness be affected by humanity elevating to a higher dimension? Thank you.
Yes, but not necessarily positively, sadly. That is to say that actually some of the some allergies actually stem from that vibrational mismatch. That is to say, it's not simply because, well, we know a lot of them also happens because you have been exposed to different types of unhealthy or unsavory chemical products from your industry, but a lot of it also actually stems from difficulty in accumulating, accommodating the stuff that makes up this world. And so, yes, so what will happen is actually that many of you have experienced these allergies to also become more aware of your breathing, to also become more aware of the way you spend your time outside, and the way you need to also be careful with your immediate environment. And it can also be, for instance, with dust allergies, so the need to keep your environment safe. So there are actually quite a lot of lessons in the idea of allergy. And notice that it's something that actually occurs a lot through spiritual awakening, that you will experience that some allergies will shift you on a path where you have to become aware of something that you necessarily wouldn't have done, or you have to make a sacrifice that you necessarily wouldn't have preferred to have done. So notice, for instance, that if you become develop allergies to a different type of, well, yes, vegetation, then it can be necessary for you to relocate into an environment that is better for you. And that's very much taking place with this new earth. It is that because so many of you are coming into your true vibration, and because Mother Earth is giving off so clear signals from all of her biomes and different ecosystems to, well, she's calling out actually, and therefore some of these hyper reactions within your body is actually telling you to go in directions where you will more align with it. And so a lot of you are moving not only mentally but also physically into spaces within these coming years that are more conducive to the work you want to do, and that are more conducive to to your physical body and how it needs to sustain itself on this planet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We thank you for that question, and we
One-
bless the questioner.
One more question, and then we can come back to the Zoom room.
Yes,
It's from Maria Hussein.
yes.
She says, I would love some advice on my current path. I have a lot of faith, and any advice would be gratefully appreciated.
Yes. We sense that there is, you keep the faith, that the faith is kept. So this is not necessarily an advice, but it's just to point out to you that there is a value in keeping the faith, not only for you personally, but it is that idea that, well, yes, man may be dependent on God, but God is also dependent on men to worship him and to turn towards him. And that is to say that when you keep this spark alive of spirit in your heart, you are actually doing something that is sustaining the vibration of the cosmos in a way that's important. And know that you will undergo the process of seeing this expressed in your physical life. So we sense that the more you speak your truth, that is to say, the more you actually put these convictions and experiences to words and allow for these words to be shared, the more you will see your physical environment change into that thing you prefer. And then before you know it, then your faith, it will not only be you who keeps it, but it will be kept alive. You will become a sort of living altar to what is sacred. And what is sacred will begin to breathe its life through you and begin to alter your physical frame too. And that's simply the advice. So we know it sounds kind of inane, but our advice is to keep on trucking, that you are where you need to be, and where you are going is the place you want to go. And so we sense the best advice we can give you is that to know that, well, the salt of your tears also fertilize the earth. Yes.
Okay, just clarification.
Yes.
The previous question by Andrew Carter,
Yes.
it was my pronunciation which messed it up, I presume. What he meant to say was the energy. How will the energy be affected? He was thinking of modalities such as Reiki, for example, and not allergy. Energy.
Interesting. Well, you see, it's interesting because it's always, we know it always bothers the vessel that we're coming through, that these linear facts, they don't match up. But to us, we're always very happy because we know that the energetic progression that is going forward in these transmissions is perfect. And there is a type of what is called in the channels language a red thread, that thing that binds everything together from beginning to end, that flows. And so the energies, yes, we were speaking of miracle working before. And you could think of the energies as there's a type of, well, you could think of it as the energy that constitutes the physical space, that there's a type of time delay or layering in the way that spiritual intention is carried out through the energetic spaces and then realized into material space. And that is simply becoming far shorter. So many of you will also experience that idea that you think of something and then it actually begins to materialize in your life, for that person turns up a day or two after you thought of them. All of the sudden they are there. And those are some of the things that will change. And then Reiki, or if you think of it as, well, healing others with funneling cosmic energy into them, that will become easier simply because your own vibration will rise, and the vibration of the space of the physical being that you are channeling it into will rise. So will be more akin to that healing vibration. And that is also why you are seeing that you're becoming far more longevital. We believe that the word is that your lives are becoming longer, and they will become longer as these techniques also become more effective. Yes.
Thank you for that correction. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have a question from Laura in the Zoom room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Hello, Laura.
So I have a question about, you had talked to me about shifting my energetic grid.
Yes.
And about 2 weeks ago, I believe it happened.
Yes.
I had been meditating with 2 series of Reiki energies,
Yes.
and doing a mantra to weave them together into another frequency for about 40 minutes. And then I brought in Quanta and some moon energy and I wasn't even focused on healing the wound I have in my chest. I have a wound that I've had for almost a year that continuously is still draining.
Yes.
And I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just being with the energies, and I got very, very hot, like being in a sweat lodge or a sauna.
Yes.
And I just experienced it. And then the next morning when I woke up, I'm used to this draining every morning when I wake up, and there was nothing. It had healed. There was no sponginess, there was no inflammation, there was no drainage. It was completely healed. And I panicked and started worrying about, well, oh, this means I'm going to be back at my job. And what if everything else that I need to do isn't ready yet? And it just like that, I felt it shift right back.
Yes.
And then over the next few days, the symptoms came back. And so I guess my question is, because I've been trying to access that again with other smaller issues, can you guide me how, because I've been looking at what occurred there, and I'm not sure. Can you guide me how to make that repeatable?
Yes. Well, I would love to, Laura, but I would just remind you that you have the power, and just so first and foremost, dwell on the fact that you actually made it happen, and that is very powerful. And you needed to show yourself that you have that power, that you can actually shift, and that you can cure yourself. But then what you realized is that there is actually a type of, well, reintegration process going on for you that requires a longer time lapse than your physical healing. So notice how powerful of a healer you have become, that you can almost snap your fingers and then cure yourself physically. But then you realize that, oh, actually some of these physical ailments were doing me the great service of keeping me from a lot of things that would actually be detrimental to my own sense of mental and personal reintegration. And 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 that is in many ways the guidance that I wish to bring to you, is that you are doing yourself a favor. So don't think that you necessarily did anything wrong by bringing this back, because you both showed yourself that you were able to, well, that you were able to release it, but also then showed yourself that there was something holding you back, that where there was still a benefit to having this lesson play out. And that lesson is in many ways to take it easy, and to watch how your healing powers and your abilities actually grow from that willingness to, well, detach, or to be patient.
Okay.
And yes, so experiment with it again and try to align with the same energies, but know that they will come when they come, because you have already established the connection. So it's not, yes, so it's not like you are doing anything wrong. And that's very important to realize, that it's actually a very, very positive experience you are having. But we could, also to frame this as general advice, notice that this actually happens a lot to human beings, that once you feel you're in a good place, and you have shed a dependency or a negative pattern or something, there is often this return to it at one last time, to be able to observe that what was this in its very root, and what it is in its very root is also that there is still a sadness in you about having to toil in this world. And this is very prominent in, well, you could call it starseeds or light workers, or people who bring a lot of extra dimensional energy into these realms, such as yourself. It is that there is a pain in having to deal with the doldrums of everyday life. And therefore we would just remind you that you are so loved, and of course not only by us, but by everyone in your spirit family, and also by your earth surroundings, because you give so much love in this life.
My gratitude, Umblam, as always. You're very wise. My love to you.
Our love and my love to you too, Laura. Thank you. Everything will be well, as it already is, but better, as you know. See, that is one of the paradoxes of expansion too, that everything is already all right, but it's getting better all the time at the same time, as we believe the Beatles once sang. So yes, are there any other questions for us, dear humans?
Yes, Nick has a question, please.
Yes.
Hello again.
Hello.
Okay, here's my question. I want to communicate with my guides and my higher self or astral families. What blocks me from understanding them? Because I think that they are communicating with me,
Yes.
but I can't understand them. I think I can understand them through the pineal gland. Is this correct?
Yes, because notice they are already, all of you are always already being communicated with. And so it's not necessarily that you are being communicated with or not, but whether or not how you perceive it and how you hear it. And so the easiest way to answer your question is actually for me to ask you, then why do you wish to communicate with them? What do you wish they would tell you?
I would like them to guide me to create the life I want.
Yes.
And I would like to see it. I would like to see that this is real. I would like to communicate, to have this experience,
Yes.
to be sure.
And the easiest way is actually to know that they have the recipe for the life that you want. So you don't necessarily need their guidance to realize it, because you actually just need to know that you don't have to do or have any idea about what you want. You can actually just, well, follow your excitement, as it is said. So if you do what you prefer, you will actually sense this type of information and synchronicity start to grow. And this is also, if you are, and we sense that you are a person who is more aligned with the active energies in this universe, that you are actually very happy in creating and changing the world, and this is beneficial. But this means that it will be easier for you to see how your higher self and your guide connects to you in your outside world, instead of looking for it within at first. So begin to, for instance, look at the numbers. And we also sense that there is a type of bird. It's interesting. Yes, we are getting the idea that, look for the white doves. There are some doves in your experience that will begin to present themselves. And when you see a white dove, it is a sign that your spirit is trying to reach out to you, because you have a lot of this type of, you have a lot of connection to the angelic realms. And so a good place for you to start would actually be to connect to the archangels, for instance. And that would make it easier for you to have guidance. So you can call on Gabriel, would be good for you, because he would give you a clear message. And so simply speak, and it would be better in your mother tongue, but to say, Gabriel, I know you are there guiding me. I wish for you to speak the words of guidance to my ears, and then actually listen with your intuition what it is, and you can try to write it down. And if you repeat this exercise, it will begin to become clearer and clearer. You will become surprised that the message is coming through.
Thank you very much.
You
I
are
like
so
your answer very much. Thank you.
we are very happy. You are welcome, and you are very blessed. So thank you for undertaking this project. And yes, then we would ask, are there are more questions on the Zoom call we sense?
We have some from YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, this is from Lucas again.
Yes.
He says, does pathogenesis exist in the Arcturian race? And do also Taygetans, Taygetans, reproduce this way?
Yes. Well, we are not quite sure if we understand the question correctly, and it may be referring to
The
some.
asexual, do they produce asexually in the Arcturian race?
Yes, it's interesting. It had different, we had different stages, so we don't necessarily reproduce anymore, or we do create different variations of ourselves, but we do so within a collective ninth-dimensional space, which isn't centered in individual creation. But we did have what you may think of as a type of intercourse, that is to say, an exchange between a female and a male type of species, or members of our species. And what we would do is, and it's actually, we would do more of a clear naval transmission. So it wasn't really centered so much in, you could think of our reproduction cycle was centered more in the energies surrounding the will center, so the yellow energy or the solar plexus energy, where it's built in your body, then it was centered around those more pure lustful energies. So for us, there was a type of creation process in it. And what would physically happen was a type of, well, there was an orifice or an opening, and then there would be a protrusion and an intertwining of organs. And so the male organ would in many ways look, well, you could think of it sort of like a mix between a trunk and a tentacle. So having different elements that then were able to lodge and intertwine with a type of sac that sat within the female body, and there they would connect, and it was pleasurable, but it was more of a type of willful communication, and we didn't reproduce that much. So it didn't, we never had that mammalian drive to do it a lot. And often we would then build so we were more like egg laying. We were egg laying, but in a sense that we built these type of chambers or external. This is very hard to explain because we're coming from a system that's so different, but these type of external type of eggs that we would then hatch and tend to, and also stimulate in different ways in order to bring forward progeny. And then in the later experimentations, we came into what you would think more of a eugenics program, but without the extermination of members of our species. So simply we began to consciously order code to try to create individuals that we thought would be more interesting and conducive to our projects. So that was how we did it. And we also had at certain points different religions with different types of Genesis stories. So just to also relay that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, and the second part of it was do also, I believe there's a race called the Tegatans,
Yes.
this way.
Well, we sense. This is interesting. Well, they're informing us that, well, their reproduction it's more akin to, well, what we believe some fish species perform. So the female will leave a type of unfertilized egg, and then the male will sort of spread genetic code and then watch over it. So it's more similar to what your seahorses do, but it's externally. It takes place externally between them. That's the information that we're getting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just two more questions here, and then we come back to the Zoom room. Two new people have just turned up. The first one is Sunbird.
Yes.
And the question is, peace to all. I am an Arcturian Syrian. Oh, am I an Arcturian, Syrian, or a Lyran Starseed? Any general guide in reference to my recent reset? Thank you, Umblam.
Yes, and thank you also for this question. You are all of these things, and notice all of you usually are, at least well, most humans are, but those of you who connect to these types of exchanges, such as this one, you usually have a lot of starseed energy. But the thing that is strongest in you right now, we sense, is, and the Lyran energy is very strong, and there's this type of female protectress coming forward, who's connected to the reset. And Isulma is her name. So Isuielma is the name, Isulma. She's coming forward, and she's very much cleaning your energetic body. There's a type of grid, those quite special Lyran Merkabahs they build, where they sort of encase you and then try to cleanse your spirit, and so look for what is comforting in these times, because there is a lot of cleansing being undertaken and being offered to you. Yes.
Thank you. And one more from Jennifer Cabral.
Yes.
She says, the lineage we each carried from our Arcturian past seems so needed at this time.
Yes.
Can you offer a confirmation that I am carrying this lineage and honoring my past?
Yes, I most certainly can. Thank you so much. You see, it's very beautiful, because this individual, Jennifer, she had quite a few lifetimes, as many of you had, but they're very strong in her. And we sense there's a lifetime called Akkad, and he was a type of geologist. It's interesting, but he was a type of, you could think of it as rock painting, or a sculptor is perhaps the word, but it has to do with putting forward objects of examination into something that helps others, that's steady, that sits there, that brings forward a perspective. that somehow becomes a vehicle or a beacon of light, and 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 you're very much carrying forward this lineage and allowing it to take place and grow in this world. He's very thankful. Akat is very thankful, and I'm very thankful. And he was a collaborator of mine in my lifetime. So usually it's very rare that these that it's actually incarnations that I'm so closely connected to. So therefore, I would also just like to thank you for playing out these energies in this lifetime. It's a great comfort and joy to me as well, personally. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go into the Zoom room now, and Mindy has a question.
Yes.
Hi there, my name is Mindy.
Yes. Hi again.
And hi again. My question is, my energy, my physical energy has been so extremely low and I haven't felt well. And I wondered if you had any tips or advice on how I could bring that up. It's been many days in a row and I just feel real low and down.
Yes. It's very, we know this is one of the very disconcerting parts about this whole alignment or ascension process. And it is essentially because it is an actual physical process. So, and that can be very hard to remind yourself, because at the same time, it seems you are being fed so many challenges and it's not actually necessarily bringing you the most beneficial results immediately in your life. But there are ways you can do this. And first and foremost, it is simply to not expend energy on, well, expending energy or not having any energy. That is to say that well, a lot of you know this, that you get really frustrated with your low energy levels, and then you try to beat yourself up. And so, for instance, an example for the channel is that he can then spend a half or a whole day wanting to do an hour's worth of yoga or exercise or something, and then this actually becomes a way in which he becomes unable to actually get to that point of restitution, because he's constantly going, there must be something I can do to regain this energy, and that prolongs it. So that was a personal example of how actually you can serve yourself by allowing yourself to not do anything. And as you do and not do anything, then it will be good to focus on, well, high vibrational diets, those places where you can spoil yourself with something that's actually good for you. So if you drink more water than you're actually supposed to, if you make yourself a fruit salad or carve out your greens in a way that make them appealing, or spend a little more time doing that those are ways you can regain your energy. Then there is also a breathing technique, and we sense in your case it is because you are to some extent becoming a little high wired by all this influx of energy. So the more that you can actually focus on that thing called apana breathing, or where you prolong your exhales. So if you can try to double your exhales compared to your inhales, and you can sit down and focus on this, but you can also do it in whenever you just have a free moment, then just think, okay, I actually need to make a longer exhale. And it won't make you fly out of bed in the morning, or make you lift cars at dinner time, but it will give you a sort of perspective and acceptance on the fact that your energy will return and it will accumulate. And so what is going on is also a sense of hibernation, and it is good to hibernate because you come out stronger and ready to live in the fall or in the springtime.
Well, that's good news. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome, and you are very blessed in this progress, and know that there are many guides also watching over you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Mindy. Now we have a question from Ken.
Hello, this is Ken again.
Yes, hello again.
Hello, thank you for my. Let me ask another question.
Yes, thank you.
My question is, are you able to measure the amount of energy I have in my body, healing energy? That's
Yes, we are. And understand again that since your body is actually composed of energy, when we give you these percentages, it is in a way to say, what is the dissonance between your pure light body energy or your spiritual body, and then, well, the sense of your physical body? So what is the dissonance between it? Because we sense that at present that light energies lies around 61%, which is quite high, but it would also become unpleasant for you if you began to accelerate it much higher. And notice when many of your masters or ascended beings may have approached that level around 80 or 90%, but once it becomes into 100, then you get into that thing which is in Christianity is literally called the ascension, where you just become into pure light and then melt into heaven. So 661 is quite high, and that's a point that's very suitable for where you are at right now.
Thank you so much.
Well, you are very welcome.
Thank you. And now Nick has a question.
Yes.
Hello again.
Hello
I'm
again.
Nikos.
Yes.
Could you tell me, when did I first come to Earth as a human, and where I was before Earth?
Well, yes. You see, you are having multiple experiences at the same time. And so there are experiences you are having right now that are also playing out off Earth. But we would say that you first became enamored with this planet sometime around the late Atlantean period. And before that, you were more engaged in, it's a civilization that calls itself what is this vibration? The it's like it's like a wavy, it's like a metallic wavy golden vibration that you stem from before. And it almost had a type of we don't mean this negatively, but a type of robotic appeal to it. So it was a place where everything was quite ordered and mechanically sound, so to speak. And that was why you also came in the late Atlantean period, because this was a period where, well, where you incarnated. In this period in Atlantis, there was a great sense of mechanic order, as opposed to what took place on other places in the planet that weren't so ordered. And so this was a good place for you to begin your exploration, because what you have been engaged in down here on Earth is also, well, very much accepting the chaos of biological life and accepting the chaos of these unpredictabilities that are so rampant on this planet. And you've gotten quite used to it. So we actually sense that you do enjoy your earth passions quite a bit, as a soul at least.
Nice, thanks.
No problem. You are welcome.
Thank you. And then we'll go back to the YouTube questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, hello there. Okay, this question is from Ketul Shah.
Yes.
He says, the Arcturians are known to be spiritually advanced and gatekeepers of the universe.
Yes.
What is the most spiritually advanced civilization you're aware of, and what is their role?
Oh, this is a beautiful question. You see, there are many, and we could say in a sense the angels, but we know civilization maybe be stretching it, because that they don't necessarily build things as such, but there is a civilization located in the Andromeda galaxy that we have established contact with. And they're very prismatic if you want a name for them, you could call them the Klim, KLIM, but that's simply to give you something to approach them with, because they actually, it's very interesting. They arose from rock consciousness, so they never moved much in their experience. They actually gained a type of, they ascended through reflecting light beams forward, back and forward to each other, and then built a type of more and more complex chromatic experience from this, where they then began to be able to build these very, very rich, almost like, well, you could think of it, this is a hard image to transfer into human minds, but these claim that when they became so knowledgeable about the light that they became able to break it into itself in order to open some of these golden section spaces that would then create other realms or other beings or other consciousnesses into material reality. So they sort of mastered the role of micro-creation simply by reflecting light. And they are very wise to our perspective. So we are trying to learn a lot from them, but of course understand to a human perspective, sweet blessed Ketul, it doesn't necessarily matter that much who you interact with us, though we also know that the Pleiadians still feel they have something to learn from us. It's of course that from your perspective, we have all learned the same lessons that you are going through in different ways, so you can gain something from all of us at where you are at now. And we can also, of course, gain much from humans, even though you are on a different level of enlightenment, if you want to go about it in hierarchy in that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last question here from YouTube feed is by Sunbird.
Yes.
And says, I am currently in the healing modality.
Yes.
And would love a guide on whether to take the path of Reiki or holistic nutrition or sacred dance.
Yes. We sense, we are just going to give you the answer without the preliminaries of your free will and stuff. Then we would say sacred dance, and then nutrition, holistic nutrition, and then Reiki healing, in that order. And don't necessarily feel that one thing needs to exclude the other, but we do sense that the dancing will be good for you, because what you are seeking through these expressions is an integration of your spiritual vibration, and their sacred dance will be the thing that serves you the most from the onset. But of course you are free to prioritize it as you want, but you were seeking for us to affirm what was already known in your heart, and therefore we gave you this swift question, or this swift answer.
Thank you. I think Kate wants to ask now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I do have a personal question.
Yes.
Hello, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate.
It seems like I have opened up to speaking my truth very out there right now. And I'm wondering if that means that the throat chakra healed itself, and that's what we're hearing in my voice, and the kind of resistance to it a bit, but getting my truth out there.
Yes. And see, this is another one of these questions where it is quite easy, because we can affirm that what you are saying, you are already understanding this. And that also points to that when you sense these things, then learn to trust your discernment about them, because it is actually quite true that you will sense often some trouble, and for instance, a deepening of your voice. And notice also, to the human cerebrum and nervous system, a deep voice somehow confers earnestness. So you do sense that well, releasing of your throat chakra and releasing of your opinion through it actually comes also with a beginning hoarseness, which gives you a type of, we could almost call it gravitas or gravity in the way that you pronounce yourself and utter your words.
Yes, and yes, I should know these answers. And my next question was going to be, is this what I'm supposed to do, is give those gentle reminders to humanity of who they are and where they're from, and to remind them of their own divinity.
Yes, and
Yeah.
know, you are doing this, and know it is not something that in that sense you are supposed to do, meaning that you have lots of callings, but whenever you feel called to do it, then please do it, because it is something that is then serving you. But do keep it on an evaluation basis, because so often speaking your truth can be both something that serves others, and it can also be something that isn't, well, doesn't fit into the situation that you are approaching. And therefore it can be good both to spare yourself the strife, but also to know where you want to invest that truthful energy and where it is better to keep it. And it is, so you are supposed to do both and follow your consciousness in this, and then you can't go wrong.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sweet friend. Blessed are you.
Thank you. Salish has a question now.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, hello. Greetings, Umblam.
Greetings, Salish.
This one is personal one as well.
Yes.
I think it's my favorite question I keep on asking you all the time is, if you could just take a scan on my chakras,
Yes.
and let me know what's happening, and especially we discussed before as well the status of the Kundalini. And
Yes.
Thank you.
We sense a smoothness in your Kundalini process that is sort of new. So it's flowing more unencumbered through your system, and you might register this quite paradoxically by, well, an increased sort of discomfort in your shoulder area, because it's where to place your shoulders when your heart is expanding, because forward, and then you actually compress it, and backwards, and then you're actually also compressing it. So it becomes that sense of, can I relax my shoulders to let it flow through? And that would be healthy, because we sense that you are, well, your Kundalini energy is it's sitting around, and it's often up and beeping at those 70%, and that is actually quite helpful. But it's more powerful in the upper chakras, and it's also more powerful in the root center than it is in the second chakra. And we sense that this place, it's getting better, but it's still troubling you to some sense. And there is a well, we would suggest for you to connect to the frog poses, but that also means to the frog energy in general, and to try to think of yourself as that thing that is able to jump up from the muck and then actually retrieve something in the ethers, and then jump down in the muck and enjoy it in that place, because the swamp is also a good safe place to be for a frog, and for creatures who live close to the ground. And it's we sense it's something with that. It's interesting, we're getting that if you will allow yourself to eat a bit more chocolate cake, for instance, that would also be good for you.
Yes, my diabetic nurse would love it, but
Yes. And of course, yes, watch out for, and keep your doctor's advice. But we do sense that there is, yes, a sort of sweetness that also wants to we're almost getting the image of fondle you, but it's in a very it's in a very caring and friendly way.
In fact, I do eat a lot of chocolate, but I will.
Yes, that is good. Is there would you like us to elaborate on an aspect of?
Yes, the sacral chakra you were talking about, the second chakra.
Yes.
If you could elaborate a bit more on that.
Yes, because we believe we remember from the different sessions that the different parts of our oversoul and the channel has undertaken, that you have also participated in, that there have been different exercises, but we sense that, for instance, the pedaling exercise would be good for you, which is simply and we don't believe this has been introduced before, but it's simply lying on on your back and then bicycling your legs, and that will actually help to release this, as you then focus on. Notice that there are in many ways 3 knots, you could think of it, around those 3 main chakras, and this is typically the places that both keep you from pure influx of enlightenment energy. And one is around the sacral area and connects the lower chakras. One sits between the shoulder blades, and one sits approximately behind the nose and between the eyes. And so we sense that this lower area is because you are quite released in the others. So it is this place where, for instance, well, yeah, the eating of chocolate that we are so happy you're undertaking is good, because it gives that sense of allowing yourself to be here. It is very important for light workers, because it's the lesson most of you typically forget. It is that you actually also enjoy being physical creatures, and there is a type of, yes, suspending judgment and suspending worry in actually in the satiation of this area. And we also sense, and we don't wish to offend you in any way, but also focusing on your sex life with your spouse or significant other would also be a good place to actually allow these energies to release, because it has to do with that. My cup overfloweth, come share it with me, sense of message that life also holds for you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome.
I have no more questions in the Zoom room. Salish, how about your YouTube?
Have a few more.
Yes.
Maybe we can. It's from Lucas. His question is, bear with me a second, I've just lost the thread. Yes, first one, he's got 2 or 3, but we'll see how it goes. He says, is it possible to gain the capability of not needing to eat at all on Earth? What energy will be consumed in such case?
Yes, you see, there it is in practice. It is in practice possible, but we do believe that quite famously in the story of the Buddha, for instance, he actually managed to drive his asceticism to a point where he sustained himself on only a grain of rice a day, and there he realized that he was able to starve himself to death, but he would have attained nothing but demonstrating that exertion of will. And so, in a sense, no, it's not impossible. It's impossible for you to be a material body and not be ingesting material energies. And for a long time, you can sustain yourself on, you could think of it as spiritual energy, because you don't necessarily need to have these metabolic burn processes turned up so loudly. But well, if you if you become 100% light, then you actually perform that thing called ascension, or the Mahasamadhi, or the union with the Great Spirit, and so you cease to become physical. So as long as you have a purpose down here, it will make sense to also sustain yourself on foodstuffs, and try to enjoy this, because there is a long queue lined up behind you of immaterial beings who would love to be in your shoes and have this experience right now.
Beautiful. Okay,
Beautiful.
back to you, Kate.
Thank you so much. We are out of questions, dear Umblam. So if you would like to close us off,
Yes.
that would be wonderful.
And we sense again also this beautiful timing. The channel had his eyes open, and we are approaching the 2-hour mark, and that is a good time for human interaction to also find a new place to dwell its consciousness. We are so happy that you joined us this day, and we are so happy that you are furthering this connection between our species and your species. I will give you a prayer and a blessing in our home tongue when it was still spoken, and then I will translate it. There were once many beings in our collective, and then we saw that our love was one, and we joined together to beam our light and wisdom across stars and galaxies, to touch you, sweet human brothers, to alight and align you with the same realization that you are individual miracles, and together this universal love, it shines and reflects and grows you into something that will seed new worlds, new orders of love and creation. Thank you for being here with us. I, Umblam of the Arcturian Council, and the entire Arcturian collective with me, I bless you, we bless you, and I look forward to communing with you again, sweet humans. Be well this day.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, guys. What a lovely session. It's running really smoothly now these days. So thank you for wonderful moderation and everything.
Thank you for your divine gifts. We are so honored to be here, my friend. We are.
Oh, thank you, guys. That's
Talk to you soon.
yes. Talk to you soon. Awesome. And oh yeah, and I'll just remember, for anyone still watching, I do give personal sessions, and you can follow the link and find my homepage and everything. And I hope to see you on the next live stream, everyone. So many blessings to you out there.
And blessings. Bye-bye.